My boat was on fire. Not vandalized, not stolen, not mysteriously missing. It was burning like it had just been caught cheating on the HOA bylaws. The flames licked the morning fog like they were proud of their work, and I just stood there in my robe, holding a cup of black coffee that suddenly felt too calm for the situation. Some people wake up to birdsong. I woke up to an inferno where my father's antique sailboat used to be, the same one I restored, the same one I sailed with my daughter Ava every weekend, the same one that somehow ticked off an HOA president in floral war paint. Leave a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. If you love wild, true-feeling stories packed with unexpected twists, poetic justice, and just the right amount of HOA drama, smash that subscribe button now. Tomorrow's story? Even wilder. And the surprises coming next? Let's just say you'll want popcorn and front-row Wi-Fi. Her name is Tamara Litchfield, and if sun hats, sour smiles, and passive-aggressive memos had a love child, it'd be her. She called my boat a visual disruption to community harmony, which is rich coming from someone who dresses like a traffic cone on vacation. I moved to Clearwater Ridge 6 months ago for peace and research. I'm a marine biologist, not a criminal mastermind, but apparently my restored wooden boat offended Tamara's vision of lakeside symmetry, and if you cross Tamara, she doesn't fine you, she plots you out like a bad shrub. Slowly, thoroughly, and with fertilizer made of petty rage. We clashed once before. HOA meeting, she tried to get my boat banned, called it a nautical nuisance. I calmly explained it was university-approved research equipment and a grief therapy vessel for my daughter and me. Some neighbors nodded. Tamara did not. She smiled that tight, lipstick-strained smile of someone filing your name under list. Her motion failed. Barely. But I saw it in her eyes. She postponed. And you should have seen the way she smoothed that orange scarf across her blazer like she was about to christen a new ship. One set to sink mine. So when I found a melted orange nail polish lid near the dock, the exact shade Tamara wears religiously, like HO orange is her power color, I didn't need CSI. I needed a plan, not revenge. Response. Calculated, quiet, legal. See, she thought she was playing chess, but I'd been studying lake ecosystems longer than she's been weaponizing yard gnomes. She thought I'd cry over ashes. She didn't know ashes make excellent fertilizer, and this scientist? I'm planting the truth with both hands and watering it with every petty HOA clause she's ever waved in my face. Because what burned wasn't just wood and sails. It was legacy. It was healing. It was the only thing that connected my father to my daughter through water and wind. Tamara wanted to scare me off. Instead, she lit the fuse on the one thing more dangerous than a grieving man with a charred dock, a scientist with nothing left to lose, and a folder full of HOA bylaws. You ever see a kid shut down like a system error? No beeping, no blinking, just blank. That was Ava. 3 days of silence, and not the peaceful kind. Her sketch pad stayed closed. Her junior microscope sat on the shelf like it had lost its job. Every morning I asked, "Want to go down to the lake?" And every time she shook her head like I'd suggested we sail into the fire. When your daughter won't even look at the water that used to be her playground, you know something bigger than smoke got scorched. Belinda may have burned a boat, but what she torched was a lifeline. Then came the HOA email. Subject line, urgent violation notice, hazardous aquatic materials. I clicked it, thinking maybe someone had left pool noodles where they shouldn't. Nope, apparently my unsupervised environmental activities were now a threat to the community. They actually used the words potential contamination. I almost laughed. If it weren't for the fact that Ava saw it first. Her hands were shaking when she passed me the tablet. Imagine calling a plankton net and pH strips a hazard. Meanwhile, the real biohazard was sipping Chardonnay and plotting boardroom coups in open-throated wedges. That night I got a call from Walt Ramsey. former HOA board member, current porch philosopher, and possibly the last man in Clearwater Ridge who still used a landline. "Tamara's got her hands in deep," he told me. "Blue Harbor Holdings, big developer. Been eyeing this lake like a hawk on a hamster. Turns out my research boat wasn't just a sailboat, it was a speed bump on Tamara's gravy train. Blue Harbor wanted to turn the lake into a private marina. Tamara? She'd be their well-compensated front woman." "You didn't lose a boat, son," Walt said. "You stepped on the wrong pipeline." That's when Dr. Evelyn Chen stepped in. She'd lived 3 doors down and had the vibe of someone who could cross-examine a brick wall and win. "You've got 2 things most people don't," she told me, not bothering with hello. 1, a reason. 2, proof, if we dig hard enough. And dig we did. HOA records, public filings, security camera logs. What we found made our heads spin. Tamara had not only blocked camera views near the docks, but also tampered with digital vote records. She ran the HOA like a casino. Stacked deck, marked cards, house always wins. But here's the thing about evidence. It's patient. It doesn't yell. It waits. And the more we uncovered, the more I realized this wasn't about one family's boat. It was about erasing every barrier between Blue Harbor and a multi-million-dollar deal. Ava finally spoke the night we found the security gap logs. We were sitting on the porch, sorting files under moonlight. She looked up and said, "Do you think they hate us?" I said, "No, baby. They fear us. Because they can't erase truth once it's printed in ink. Tamara didn't just burn our past. She tried to pre-soak our future in bleach. But we weren't fading quietly, not even close. Stick around. The stain's about to spread." Sometimes the HOA picks the wrong dad to mess with. And sometimes that dad has a biology degree, a mild caffeine addiction, and an old hunter friend who once said, "Nothing sees like a trail cam." I installed 2. One pointed at the dock, one at the narrow cut behind the maple trees. I figured if someone came back snipping around the ashes, they'd bring their slippers. Sure enough, 3 nights later, I got a ping. There she was, grainy but unmistakable. A figure in a bathrobe and bright orange slippers, walking the edge of the fire site like she was checking her handiwork. Her face turned toward the cam for half a second. Guess who wore a matching orange bracelet at the last HOA meeting? Tamara. She wasn't subtle, just confident in the wrong people staying silent. Ava had finally started rebuilding her sample trays. We were at the lake gathering again, little jars labeled with renewed hope. Then Tamara appeared. No clipboard this time, just a smug smile and sunglasses the size of hubcaps. She tripped over Ava's tray stand like she'd never walked on flat grass before. Everything, dozens of samples smashed. Ava froze. I froze. Tamara muttered, "Oh dear," like someone trying to sound concerned but too proud to fake it. A couple neighbors saw it happen. Nobody spoke. Just that awful silence that tells you fear is still winning. I helped Ava pick up the shards with shaking hands, swearing under my breath that I wouldn't just get even. I'd get everything. Evelyn doubled down after that. She pulled records. I pulled email threads. We started tracking Tamara's violations the way biologists track invasive species. Quietly, patiently, with purpose. Turns out Tamara hadn't paid her own HOA dues in 5 months. Ironic, considering she fined a man for a crooked mailbox. We started a petition for board transparency. Neighbors hesitated, but once they saw Ava crying beside her shattered trays, something shifted. We got 15 signatures the first weekend, 22 by the next. One man whispered, "Don't quote me, but we all know she's not doing this for the neighborhood. She's doing it for her golden parachute." That's when Darren showed up. Soft-spoken, always wore cardigans and had a background in forensic IT. "I saw what she did to your daughter," he told me, handing me a flash drive. "I don't like bullies. I've been upgrading the community security system on my own dime. Tamara never asked how the backups work." His footage was crystal clear. Her face, her slippers, her bracelet, all caught under infrared. Darren didn't shout. He didn't organize protests. He just handed over receipts with the calm of a man who plays legal chess while others are stuck on checkers. Word started to spread like a rumor wrapped in gasoline that Tamer stood to collect $175,000, 0 cents, as a consultant if Blue Harbor secured lake rights. That her HOA rule wasn't public service, it was a career move, a dress rehearsal for dictatorship, just with better stationery. But if she thought this was going to be her grand finale, she forgot one thing. Some of us weren't here to bow. We were here to flip the script. And with Darren's footage, Ava's quiet resilience, and Evelyn's legal mind, oh, the script was starting to smoke. Keep watching. The curtain's about to rise. There are few phrases more ominous in a neighborhood than emergency HOA meeting. It's right up there with mystery casserole and surprise assessment. But sure enough, that's what landed in everyone's inbox at 4:12 p.m. on a Tuesday. Tamara called it, of course, claiming urgent developments about community science threats. I knew what that meant. She was coming for me publicly. And Ava, by extension. The community center was packed like a reality show finale. Folding chairs, lukewarm coffee, and one woman with too much eyeliner and not enough conscience standing at the podium like a dictator at the bake sale. She wasted no time. "It has come to our attention," she began, her voice sliding across the room like oil on tile, "that Mr. Wexler has been conducting unregulated aquatic experiments in our lake. These activities are not only unauthorized but potentially dangerous to our ecosystem." She smiled, like she'd just submitted her Emmy reel. People looked uncomfortable. A few nodded, unsure. I stood slowly and walked to the mic. "I'd like to respond," I said. Tamara tried to wave me off, but Evelyn stood up too. "According to bylaw section 17C," she said crisply, "any resident accused of policy violations may present a defense at the same meeting." Tamara blinked. The air shifted. I handed out copies of my latest water quality report, verified by the university and reviewed by 2 independent labs. No pollutants, no chemical spikes, no anomalies. "What I've been collecting," I told the room, "is science, not sludge. What's dangerous isn't my research, it's silence." A quiet murmur started in the back. Evelyn pulled up a slide showing the lake's pristine condition. "So unless someone's allergic to facts," she added, "we can lay that accusation." I saw Tamara's lip twitch. She wasn't expecting resistance with footnotes. Then came the tape. Darren had cleaned the audio. I queued it up, pressed play, and stepped back. Tamara's voice filled the room. Clear, smug, undeniable. "Don't worry, I took care of the boat. That thing was an eyesore and a liability. No more distractions from the marina vote." The silence that followed was volcanic. Gasps, whispers. One board member actually stood up and took a step away from her chair. The truth didn't need a mic drop. It just let her hang herself with her own words. For the first time since we moved in, I saw Tamara falter. Not stumble. But we weren't done. Darren walked to the front, holding up a flash drive. "There's more," he said, calm as ever. On the screen, HOA payouts to Tamara, dated emails with Blue Harbor execs, backdated voting results for bylaws no one remembered passing. She hadn't just torched my boat. She'd been cooking the books like a HOA mafia boss with a spreadsheet addiction. The crowd turned, fast. Her allies found other things to look at. Her enemies took notes. I didn't say "I told you so." I didn't need to. The recording had done the talking. And the fallout? Oh, that was just beginning. Stick around. Next comes the part where the board eats itself. The moment the EPA agents stepped forward, you could feel the oxygen evacuate the room. Tamara stood at the front, blinking like someone who'd just been asked to spell accountability in a spelling bee. One of the agents cleared his throat and said, "Ms. Litchfield, we have received credible reports of environmental violations concerning this lake. We'd like to speak with you." Now, if there was an Olympic event for fake composure, Tamara would have medaled on the spot. She straightened her floral blazer, gave a pageant smile, and said, "Of course." Right after we conclude this very important community vote. But the room was already turning. Eyes that once looked to her for updates on garbage pickup were now darting toward the projector, where Evelyn queued up side-by-side footage. One video of Tamara shouting about unregulated aquatic dangers, and another, time-stamped clear as a confession, of her sneaking around the docks in her unmistakable robe and orange slippers the morning of the fire. It was like watching a magician accidentally reveal the rabbit under the table mid-show. Evelyn didn't say a word. She just pressed play and let the lies melt like cheap makeup in a summer rainstorm. That was the final gust. The petition Evelyn and I had worked weeks to circulate now hit 60%. We had the votes. And the bylaws didn't need flair or font size to declare the obvious. The board was dissolved, effective immediately. Walt Ramsey was nominated and confirmed as interim president by a unanimous murmur. The same folks who once feared crossing Tamara were now giving her the kind of side-eye reserved for meat left too long in a hot car. Her inclusions, I saw hands go up with questions not about me, not about the boat, but about how she'd gotten away with this for so long. That was the real shift. Still, Tamara wasn't going down without a final squawk. She grabbed the mic like a failed game show host and hissed, "You all think this is over? Blue Harbor will come for every one of you. They have lawyers, power, money. I was trying to protect this community." I nearly choked on my lukewarm community center coffee. Protect us? That's what arson is now. Fireproofing. One of the EPA agents stepped in before I could reply. "Actually," he said, holding up a manila folder thick with tabs, "we've been monitoring Blue Harbor for some time, and let's just say they've been sloppy." Dammering's face contorted into something between disbelief and a toddler mid-tantrum. "This is a witch hunt," she barked. "A coordinated attack." The agent stayed calm. "No, ma'am. This is due process. We have compliance reports, tampered documentation, and you're listed as a consultant for an undeclared development project. Not to mention multiple community violations and now suspected arson. You'll need to come with us." And just like that, Queen Tamara lost her HOA crown, her microphone, and shortly thereafter, her access to community Wi-Fi. As the officers gently but firmly guided her toward the exit, the room sat in stunned silence. No gloating, no celebration, just relief. The kind that settles in your bones when the thunder finally stops. Walt stood, cleared his throat, and said, "Let's take a 5-minute break before we go over the Reformation process." It was the most understated way possible to say, "We're free." Outside, I found Ava waiting near the oak tree where we used to tie up the boat. She had a quiet smile on her face. "Is she really gone?" she asked. "For good?" I looked at her, this 11-year-old girl who'd watched our life get scorched and still found her voice again in science, in truth, in resilience. "She's gone," I said. "But what she tried to destroy, that's still here, stronger now." And for the first time since the fire, Ava didn't flinch when I mentioned the boat. They say you can't rebuild the past, but they never met Walt Ramsey and a determined biologist with a grudge. The morning after Tamara's HOA dynasty fell like a bad souffle, Walt pulled up in a rusty pickup with a tarp, 2 toolboxes, and a grin that said, "Let's raise a boat from the dead." We called it the SS Ripple Effect, not just because the name sounded poetic, but because that's what she'd become. Our floating lab, our family therapy, our reminder that you can't burn down the truth and expect it to stay quiet. Ava took the restoration like a mission. She wasn't just cataloging samples anymore, she was leading weekend workshops. 3 other kids from the neighborhood joined in, one of them a former sprinkler saboteur turned microscope enthusiast. The lake became their science fair, their sanctuary, their rebellion against HOA stupidity dressed up as community decorum. Watching Ava explain water acidity to a group of retirees like she was defending a dissertation, that's when I knew resilience doesn't just survive, it teaches. The lake wasn't just clear, it was proud. Blue Harbor, now neck-deep in EPA scrutiny and bad PR, slinked away faster than a cat caught stealing a roast. Their permit applications pulled. Their lawyers quiet. Tamara's emails and payout trail had opened the floodgates, literally and figuratively. Turns out when you try to privatize nature and manipulate neighbors, the universe fights back. Through well-placed microphones and a teenager with a data log, the community, now Tamara-free, did more than just recover. It rewrote the HOA charter. Every clause now had to pass a common-sense filter. If you wouldn't say it to your grandma, it couldn't be enforced. They even offered me a permanent board seat. I said no, of course. I told them I'd rather float in algae with my daughter than sit through one more HOA vote on garden gnome spacing. They laughed, but I meant every word. This piece looks better from a boat anyway. One sunny Saturday, Ava stood on the rebuilt bow of the Ripple Effect, holding her water sample tray like a championship trophy. She'd just won a regional award for her project, Clean Water, Clear Boundaries, and gave a speech that had the mayor clapping and one old HOA treasurer crying. Science, she said, isn't just about data. It's about standing up when something precious is under threat. I just sat in the back, trying not to sob into my sunglasses. With leftover settlement funds from the Blue Harbor fiasco, the neighborhood voted to build something meaningful. The Ava Foundation Environmental Learning Dock, named for a girl who never stopped testing the water, even when things got messy. They dedicated it to her mother, my late wife. The plaque reads, "For the quiet heroes who heal what others try to destroy." It's funny how full circle life can feel when the same lake that broke you becomes the one that lifts everyone else. So yeah, Tamara thought fire would silence me, but what it did was boil the truth to the surface and burn her lies into ash. And if you're ever in Clearwater Ridge and hear laughter echoing off the lake, that's probably Ava and the other lake guardians hauling in a net full of algae, changing the world one sample at a time. Me? I'm somewhere nearby, sipping coffee from a boat older than HOA drama, watching sunlight bounce off the ripples of a battle we didn't start, but damn sure finished. And if you're sitting there thinking, all that over a boat, then you've missed the point, but not by much, because it was never just about the boat. It was about what the boat held: memory, healing, curiosity, and the kind of purpose that doesn't come from a paycheck or a podium. It came from a daughter who wouldn't quit, a dad who got tired of swallowing smoke, and a community that woke up just in time to stop pretending that silence was peace. We didn't set out to change the system, we just wanted to sail. But the moment someone lit a match to control our future, we realized something. If you don't protect what matters, someone else will price it, pave it, and profit off it while calling it progress. And no amount of bylaws or floral blazers can hide that kind of theft forever. So here's the lesson I didn't expect to learn at 48. Sometimes doing the right thing looks a lot like doing the messy thing. And justice? It doesn't always show up in a courtroom. Sometimes it rolls in quiet like a lake breeze. And sometimes it bursts from a sprinkler head, full of rust and irony. If this story hit you somewhere deep, or just made you laugh while sipping your morning coffee, do us a favor, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. Smash that like button if you've ever had to stand up to a clipboard dictator, and don't forget to subscribe, because tomorrow's story, it's got more drama than a HOA bake sale gone rogue. And trust me, you won't want to miss how a garden gnome started a neighborhood rebellion. This has been Noah Wexler's Backyard Revolution, and in case anyone's still wondering, yeah, it was worth every drop of sludge.